Hello everybody, I am Oscar W. Fitchett and welcome to the second episode of Foreign Film Friday. Now if you saw last week's video, I talked about The Villainess and I explained what the whole gist of Foreign Film Friday was. Every Friday I am hoping to just talk about in some way a film within a foreign language. And last week I talked about The Villainess. This week I'm going to be talking about Headshot, which comes to us from the country of Indonesia. Now, this film a lot of you might know more of compared to The Villainess because, as it advertises, it features the cast of The Raid and Raid 2, and those cast members include the main character, who is played by Iko Uwais, as well as some other supporting characters such as Julia Stell, who was Hammer Girl in The Raid 2, and there's a guy who plays the character Bessie I think it is, who played the character of Baseball Bat Boy. But this film is directed by the Moe brothers, who are a very interesting pair of directors. They have also been known to direct films such as Macabre, which I've yet to see, and also the film Killers, which was produced by Gareth Evans, director of the Raid films, which was a very interesting film. I might talk about that at some point. And another thing that was quite fascinating about this film, just generally in terms of the making of it, is that this film partnered with XYZ Films to try to get this film out to more of a worldwide international audience distribution-wise. So it's a foreign film that tried to be more notable and more known to the Western audiences. Now, I do also want to preface with, before I go on about my opinions of Headshot and my thoughts on Headshot, like The Villainess, I'm not going to give spoilers away for this film because I think it's a film that most of you will enjoy. So basically the whole gist of this film is that a character played by Iko Uwais washes up on shore and he has amnesia. And he gets like these kind of like flashes of memory, and he finds out he's basically a badass. Basically, he's incredible at fighting. And amongst this whole thing, there's another undercurrent of people who may be similar to him, not in terms of amnesia, but like in terms of his ability of fighting. And probably the question you are all asking right now about Headshot is, what's the action like? Is the action any good? Yes, it's fantastic action. What more do you expect from Iko Uwais is action roles? He's fantastic in it. There's like 4 main scenes that do spring to mind, and there's one with I think it's like an office or something like that. It's when Iko Uwais takes on a load of different dudes, and the choreography is so inventive. Like, it's really like that's where like this film kind of stands out, is the choreography and the fight scenes. Because I mean, yeah, the story's good, the story's fine, it's acceptable, but it's where the action is where the film's at. It's like really intriguing, inventive, cool action scenes. The other fight scene that does stick out in my mind is a fight scene between Iko Uwais and the character Bessie, who is the actor who played Baseball Bat Boy, which is a standout, which is a very good scene as well. And then like pretty much right after that scene as well, you get a fight. It almost just leads straight into a fight scene between Iko Uwais and Julia Stell, which is relies more on the emotion of both characters. And although this film isn't necessarily majorly story heavy, there's a good story there, but it's not meant to be like, oh, this heart-wrenching story as such. The character work between those two, it's good. It's good. It's a good like scene. It's a good scene with a fight scene, but it's more about the emotion of these two characters. And they do have a link. I'm not going to say what the link is, because spoilers, but they do have a link, and it's a believable connection. And then the other fight scene that I do have to say is a bit like a standout is the final fight scene. I'm not going to say who it's between, because spoilers, haha. But, I mean, it's a cool fight scene. It's a cool fight scene, and those 4 fight scenes are kind of like all 4 of the main standout ones. And that's what I do have to say. If you're going into this film comparing it to the Raid films, unlike the 2 Raid films, the entire film's almost incredible action, but then there's that one just mind-blowing fight. Like in the Raid 1, it's the fight between Mad Dog Rama and Rama's brother. I always forget Rama's brother's name, but that's the main, like, wow, that fight was incredible. And in the Raid 2, it's the kitchen fight. Again, the whole film has amazing fight scenes, but it's the kitchen fight scene that's like the main scene that you go, oh my god, that was incredible. With this film, it's all just one good action. Like, every scene in Headshot is a good action scene. It's a good fight scene with cool inventive choreography, really, like, you know, inventive stuff. But there's not that one that's going to blow your mind of like, oh my god, that was one of the best I've ever seen. And again, that's not necessarily to discredit this film. You can't necessarily compare the two, like, those films. You can't compare Headshot with the Raid films, because the only similarity is it's an action film that's got Iko Uwais, Julie Estelle, and yeah, the guy who played Baseball Bat Boy in these films. It's a completely different directorial team. I think enjoyment with this film helps is if you educate yourself a bit on the Moe Brothers. Now, I've only seen Killers in terms of Moe Brothers films, but if you understand their type of style, they're more into like the more like I wouldn't say disturbing films, but it's like with Killers, it's what, like, Killers is, sometimes I've had to look away. Like, there's certain scenes when a scene builds up. In Killers, I'm like, So, whereas Gareth Evans' style is clearly really cool stylized action, the Moe Brothers is more like, they're not really action directors as such. They're more like horror. Again, not disturbing, that's not the right word. They're more graphic directors. They're not action directors, they're graphic directors. And the fact they're not, like, action isn't really their forte, and they pulled off a film like this, I mean, come on, that, like, the fact that the action is as good as it is in Headshot, it's something to praise. And that moves me on to the acting in the film. And I'm going to say this, if you're one of these people whose one of the main complaints of the Raid films, like, the acting wasn't very good in this film, that's where Headshot kind of makes up for it. Whereas Headshot has good action scenes, but there's not that one amazing action scene. The acting is a lot better in Headshot. The acting is actually really good, even just as a standalone film, a film on its own. The acting is actually really good acting. Iko Uwais, you know, good performance, but it's more of the people around him who are really good. I think Julie Estelle is really good in this film. She was really good in the Raid 2 as well. But like this, she's a really good actress generally as well. So no really surprise there. The lead female actress, I can't remember her name, but the lead one, the one that's not Julie Estelle, the one that helps Iko Uwais out with most things, she's really good as well. Her, like, you sympathise with her because there's moments in this film where she is in danger and you really don't want her to get harmed. And I think a lot of that has to do with how she acts with it all. But I do have to say the main guy who steals the show in terms of acting is the actor who plays Lee. My goodness, one of the better villains of 2017. Like, seriously, this guy from, like, the first scene, like, the first time you see him, and he speaks English first. You hear him speak English, then he speaks Indonesian. And then it's just like, wow. He just has a presence. The way he carries himself, it's like, dude, this guy's not a fuck with. When, like, the film cuts away from him and other stuff's happening, and then you're enjoying all the stuff that's happening within the action scenes, and then when it cuts back to him, it's like, oh yeah, I forgot about him. Yes, and then you're just watching him because he's really magnetic as an actor. I'd be interested to see more of this actor's work because he was fantastic. If there's any other reason to watch Headshot besides from the action, it's the acting from that guy. Like, the acting overall is good, but it's mainly him. His performance is the thing to take away from Headshot. The cinematography with the action is fantastic. There's a lot of really standout shots, like frames of the film, like with the action scenes. Like, there's many of those moments, particularly the scene between Iko Uwais and Julia Stell. There's a very memorable shot in there. The cinematography is very memorable in this film. If I would have to think of a complaint a lot of people might have about this film is the story, because the story might get a bit too convoluted for some people. I will admit, when I first watched this film, I did have to kind of like think to myself, wait, what's exactly happening? But once you kind of like get to the end, once you stick with it to the end, like you do piece things together. I was like, oh, everything connects, everything matches, it's all fine, everything's good. But there is that initial point when watching the film when you're like, what's happening again? How's he connected? What is there a point to this scene? It's one of those films where Headshot isn't trying to be The Raid 3, it's trying to be its own standalone film. But if you want a bit of a film to keep you going until The Raid 3 actually gets made, Headshot's the film. It's nothing mind-blowing. It's not going to be any outstanding piece of cinema, but it's a fantastic action film. If we're going off action alone, it's great. It's a great action film. If people had complaints about the length of The Raid 2, you'll be fine with Headshot. It's not massively long at all. It's about the same length as the first Raid, I think, but it has a bit more of an adventurous storyline than the first Raid as well. So really my final say on the Headshot is like, it's not The Raid, but it's not meant to be. It's meant to be a kick-ass action film, and that's exactly what it is. So guys, that is this week's Foreign Film Friday, where I talked about Headshot. I hope you guys check out Headshot if you haven't, and if you go in the description you'll find links to everything that you need in life, including Twitter, Facebook, Instagram and Letterboxd to everyone in the Heel crew. Thank you all for watching. Until next time guys, I shall see you later and goodbye.